This video features multiple meticulously crafted small form factor PCs and some hard-earned knowledge from the many failures it took to make them. I took a fast drive out of a cursed computer, I put a cursed drive in it, a cursed GPU using a cursed cable, and I tried to power it with a super cursed setup. And I intend to get out for Halloween. I didn't even make that happen, but as an apology, here's a small form factor pumpkin. This video is sponsored in part by Acemagic. They sent me their F1A Mini powered by a 12900H for me to ravage. Why? Well, I'm sure their intent was to send me one to demonstrate that they are a legit company that makes solid, well-crafted mini-PCs. I mean, it's not my fault they didn't know I was going to put it in my small form factor dungeon, torture it to death multiple times, kill it, resurrect it, make it do things it was not designed to ever do, all in the name of indiscriminate science. But seriously, the way the cards fell, I ended up using this as my main PC for several months. Longer than expected because the actual build quality of the F1A is impressive, and that's usually what motivates me to mod. The top and bottom covers are glass, the chassis is milled from a solid block of cast aluminum, and of course there's quality of life features like rubber feet that double as thumb screws. The system ran great for normal PC stuff, as expected. It even ran CAD very well, and I did a video stream for Discord doing a project on it. No hiccups. But gaming, well, I wanted to play Jedi Survivor and not on esports settings. All right, power comes in through the wall into our SFXL power supply. The power supply doesn't have a 24 pin, so it has to be jumped, so it's always on. And that's with this cable right here. The power supply has to output power to the motherboard. So we have a line going over here to our WIGO connectors, and the WIGO connectors send power to a buck converter, and we are converting 12 volts into 19 volts, and we are sending it into the back of our motherboard via this barrel jack. The motherboard is then taking that power, and we can turn it on with the on-off switch, no problem. It's sending power to the SATA drive, no problem, and reading from the SATA drive. And for the graphics card, it has to have a M.2 adapter going to the graphics card, which also has to be powered by the power supply, so that's going back into our WIGO connectors, and it's fed from the power supply over here. And then the video card can output video to our monitor. So that's the setup. If you're surprised this worked, well, don't be, because it didn't. Well, it sort of did. Sometimes. That's why it was actually cursed. I even blew up a DC-DC 19 to 12 volt buck converter, and even electrocuted myself twice because I got sloppy. More on that later. I spent weeks tearing it apart and putting it back together with different power supply setups and GPUs and riser cable after riser cable, but it was just so wonky. So here's the first bit of small form factor science I promised you from NFC Gabriel. You can go back and pause, but basically what it says, if your motherboard does not actually have an option to force PCI link speed to like Gen 2 or Gen 3, then you're going to have to find a cable that matches the board's default. In this case, I need to find a PCI 4.0 riser from ADT. Bam! Fixed forever. Okay, with my cursed setup now functioning again magically, although I did have to drain the battery, let the board sit for a couple days, and then replace the RAM and swap it back to get it going again, I was able to run some benchmarks to see just how much the 4090 was being bottlenecked. Performance in synthetics wasn't amazing, to be honest, but yeah, I know, obviously, right? But I like to see what actually happens in real life, because sometimes it's what enables crazy things like Tiny PS5 or Tiny RTX. To get a real comparison though, I needed a control. I needed something custom, something not from concentrate. NFC Gabriel built me this one-of-a-kind sandwich PC. It has carbon fiber skeletons with an adjustable spine, which is really neat because there isn't a big giant hole in the back. It has multiple materials, including titanium. He even made it my favorite colors, matching my Jeep and my office, where it will sit plugged into my external liquid cooling setup. The one condition that he had was that I never, ever take it apart. So here it is all apart. The GPU is a 2080 Ti, which is fine for my gaming needs, but I temporarily need to put a 4090 in it because this system is ordered with a unique board from the Far East. It's unique because it has an embedded CPU. The same 12900H, but it's a mini ITX board with a full 16x slot and a robust enough UEFI to allow for voltage tweaks. Now that we can push this CPU to the max, I can get some real benchmarks.
Target destroyed.
Enemy down.
Okay, that was fun. Not big difference, so I guess the CPU really is a big bottleneck. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we're not leaving so much performance on the table with these small 4X risers after all, even with a 4090. I put the hypothesis out there, Steve. You can go prove it with math or whatever you do. All right, so now that I know that this could work, I could put this all in some big PC, maybe even go back to my 2U rack, which I really want to build out. But now that I have it all out, I kind of feel like putting this in a tiny. So let's use something a little bit more realistic and less bottlenecked. As you might have counted, there are 11 3D printed parts. But I didn't want this build to look dominated by plastic, so I did my very best to use different slicing techniques, materials, and designs to keep it interesting. I've been using the Bamboo X1C a lot over the past couple months, pretty much full time. Specifically, this printer helped me get perfect first layers for clean looking parts on both sides, and even multicolor on both sides. Multicolor actually adds a lot to industrial 3D parts. It really elevates something and makes it look professional. But the real magic of the X1C is the AMS. In the slicer, change my filament is awesome. Does everything for me. No more undoing tubes and putting them back in. But let's not get sidetracked. Let's get back to the build. Here it is, Tiny Ace. Honestly, I think it turned out super clean, and I'm really happy with it. Dual 300 watt power supplies make supplying dual voltages a breeze, and the small size of the F1A's board allows them to be neatly stacked. Everything is engineered to fit perfect, and the cooling ducts and gaps worked as intended. I love how dense it is, and finally I can game on the F1A. The system sips power, pulling about 110 watts theoretically at full bore, but averaging much lower. I'm not sure if anyone really wants to replicate this exact build, but if you do, the files are in the description below. However, the concept is really valuable because there are a lot of cool mini PCs out there that you could put into another case, like the S4T, or you could hire us to do it for you. Happy to build you this exact computer. I'm happy to sell you this exact computer. Get in touch, you have my email. So it appears the curses that plague this build are lifted. Acemagic is making quality, virus-free PCs at a fair price, and I can enthusiastically recommend them. Speaking of recommending, this Innocn portable monitor is amazing. Calibrated display, 4K resolution, battery, speakers, and touch control. It does DP over USB, which makes it super convenient as a testing tool. I can pull it out of a drawer, sit up on a desk, and not wrangle a bunch of cables. It works awesome as a monitor for my camera too. No way would have been able to get these shots without it. Talk about a great companion for this mini PC. You can put everything in a backpack and have a legit awesome setup for architecture work, CAD design, photo editing, or gaming. Yes, this is a sponsored part of the video. Yes, I'm pitching this to you because they're going to give one away to one of you people. Last time that I did a promotion like this, like 12 people signed up. So that's really good odds. All you gotta do, I think, is do a retweet. I don't know, read the description for the rules. I had super fun making this video, even if it was painful at times. And guess what? There's gonna be another video very soon. Eric is finishing up the most crazy, awesome, insane small form factor PC that you've ever seen. And that's thanks to our patrons on Patreon. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching this video. And it's been long, so I'll leave you to it. And say goodbye, Pumpkin. Bye-bye. Happy Halloween. Happy Thanksgiving.